Hello, dear wanderers of the whispering winds, and welcome to Whispered Tales. Tonight, as the frost traces delicate patterns on your windows and the stars seem to hang low in the velvety embrace of the winter night, I invite you to settle in. Wrap yourself in a warm blanket, let your worries melt away, and journey with me to a time long ago, when the world was still young, and the boundary between the seen and unseen was as thin as the air in the frozen forests of the north. Tonight, we weave a tale of Yule, the ancient celebration of light's triumph over darkness. This is not merely a story of feasting or merriment, though it holds plenty of both. It is a tale of rebirth and resilience, of gods and mortals, and of the fiery light that has always dared to shine against the longest night. Let us journey now to the icy lands where the great forests slept under blankets of snow, their branches bending beneath the weight of frost. There, in the heart of the coldest winter, the people gathered in their humble halls. They feared the shadowy hours of the longest night, when wolves howled at the moon and the wild hunt thundered across the sky. Yet, within their fear burned a spark of hope, nurtured by the ancient belief that no matter how deep the darkness, the light would always return. In this land, the heavens told stories of their own. The stars whispered secrets of the gods, Odin, the wanderer and all-knowing father, riding at the helm of the ghostly wild hunt, Freya, the goddess of love and renewal, whose tears turned to gold in the winter moonlight, and Thor, whose mighty hammer guarded the fragile balance of life and death. These deities watched over Yule, the sacred time when the sun was reborn and the eternal dance of light and shadow began anew. The people honored this cosmic dance with fire and song. They gathered around the Yule log, a great piece of wood that burned through the longest night, its flames a promise of the sun's return. The scent of evergreen boughs filled the air, and their flickering light cast long shadows, merging the mortal world with that of the divine. Stories were shared of bravery and loss, of battles fought against frost giants and the relentless cold, and of the coming warmth that would awaken the sleeping earth. But Yule was more than rituals and tales. It was a reminder that every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. It was a celebration of life's enduring light, even when darkness seemed overwhelming. And so, tonight, we shall step into this ancient world, walk among gods and mortals, and uncover the timeless magic of Yule, the story of a light that dares to rise. Are you ready? Then close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let us begin. As the story unfolds, imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast, snow-covered forest. The air is crisp and biting, the earth below your feet frozen solid, and the silence is profound, broken only by the occasional sigh of the wind. This is the heart of Yule, the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, when the sun seems to pause on its path, lingering low in the sky before beginning its slow ascent toward warmth and renewal. In ancient times, this celestial event was not merely an astronomical phenomenon, it was a moment of profound spiritual significance. The people of the north, wrapped in fur and bound to the rhythms of nature, knew the solstice as a turning point in the great cycle of life. It marked the end of the sun's decline and the promise of its rebirth, a beacon of hope that pierced the icy grip of winter. The solstice was a sacred reminder that life, even in its darkest hours, is not static. The earth, like the soul, turns in endless cycles: birth, growth, decline, and rebirth. Just as the seeds lie dormant beneath the frost-covered soil, so too do dreams and hope slumber within the heart, waiting for the right moment to awaken. At Yule, the people celebrated this renewal with reverence and joy. They lit fires to mirror the sun's returning strength, each flickering flame a declaration of resilience against the cold. They gathered evergreens, their unyielding green a symbol of vitality and endurance, to adorn their homes and halls. These acts were not mere decoration, they were sacred gestures, connecting humanity to the eternal dance of light and shadow. The solstice also carried a quiet wisdom, whispering that darkness, though daunting, is never permanent. It is a necessary part of the cycle, a time for rest and reflection, for seeking warmth within and preparing for the blossoming days ahead. To honor this balance was to understand the harmony of nature, the interplay of opposites that sustains life itself. And so, on this longest night, the people gathered in their mead halls, their hearths ablaze with Yule logs, their hearts alight with hope. They shared tales of the solstice's meaning, of the sun's enduring promise, and of their ancestors who had faced similar nights with courage and faith. It was a moment of unity, a celebration of life's unfailing ability to renew itself, even in the bleakest of times. Through the lens of the winter solstice, Yule becomes not merely a season but a profound reflection of life's cyclical nature. It teaches us that within the deepest shadows lies the seed of the brightest dawn, a lesson as timeless as the turning of the stars themselves. As the flames of the Yule fires danced in the frosty night, the people turned their gazes skyward, where the stars wove stories of the gods, mighty beings who ruled over the cycles of nature, the fate of mortals, and the mysteries of Yule. Among these celestial tales, the myths of Odin, Freya, and Thor illuminated the darkness like constellations in the winter sky. At the heart of Yule's mythology is Odin, the All-Father, a god of wisdom, war, and wanderers. With his long beard frosted by the icy winds and his one eye gleaming with ancient knowledge, Odin was said to lead the wild hunt, a spectral procession that thundered across the heavens during the longest nights of the year. The hunt was both awe-inspiring and fearsome. It was said to sweep through the skies like a storm, its ghostly riders accompanied by howling wolves and the cries of ravens. To witness it was a rare and dangerous omen, one that could bring blessings or misfortune, depending on the heart of the beholder. Yet the wild hunt was not merely a force of chaos, it also symbolized the cycle of death and renewal, the clearing of the old to make way for the new. The people revered Odin as a guide through these liminal times. They left offerings of bread and ale by their doors to honor him and to seek his favor. They whispered prayers that the hunt would pass them by in peace, carrying with it the darkness of the old year and paving the way for the rebirth of light. While Odin's hunt represented the stormy passage of Yule, Freya embodied its softer, life-affirming aspects. Freya, the goddess of love, fertility, and beauty, was believed to wander the snow-covered fields during Yule, her golden tears falling to the earth and transforming into amber beneath the winter moon. Freya's presence reminded the people of Yule's promise of renewal. Her connection to the cycles of life and death was profound. She was a goddess who could guide souls to the afterlife yet also awaken the sleeping earth when spring returned. Freya's sacred cats, who pulled her chariot, were often invoked in Yule blessings, their strength and grace a symbol of endurance through the harshest winters. To honor Freya, the people adorned their homes with evergreen boughs, mistletoe, and holly, symbols of fertility and the unbroken thread of life. These rituals were not only acts of devotion but also a reminder that even in the deepest cold, the seeds of warmth and growth remained alive. No Yule legend would be complete without Thor, the Thunderer, whose mighty hammer Mjolnir safeguarded both gods and mortals. Thor's role during Yule was that of a guardian, ensuring that the fragile balance between light and darkness, life and death, was upheld. It was said that Thor roamed the skies during the solstice storms, using his hammer to shatter the frost giants who sought to extend winter's grip over the land. The roar of thunder was a comforting sound to the people, a sign that their protector was at work, ensuring that the sun would rise again. Thor's strength and perseverance made him a beloved figure during Yule. His spirit inspired the people to face the challenges of winter with courage and determination, trusting that brighter days lay ahead. Together, these deities wove a tapestry of Yule's meaning. Odin's wisdom guided the journey through darkness, Freya's love nurtured the seeds of renewal, and Thor's strength protected the fragile light. Each god played their part in the great cosmic dance, reminding mortals that the cycles of nature and the divine were intertwined. As the people shared these stories around their Yule fires, they connected not only with their gods but also with one another. The myths were a bridge between the mortal and the eternal, a source of comfort and wonder in the darkest of nights. In the dim glow of ancient hearths, one tradition burned brighter than all others: the Yule log. This mighty piece of wood, carefully selected from the surrounding forests, was not just a source of warmth. It was a sacred symbol, a conduit for prayers, blessings, and the indomitable light of life itself. The act of choosing the Yule log was a ritual in its own right. It was said that the tree must be felled with reverence, often accompanied by a quiet invocation to the spirits of the forest. Only the strongest and sturdiest logs were deemed worthy of holding the flame that would guide the people through the longest night. Once brought home, the log was adorned with ribbons, carvings, and sometimes sprigs of holly, ivy, or mistletoe, plants that carried their own sacred meanings of protection, endurance, and renewal. On the eve of Yule, the log was placed in the hearth with great ceremony. Its first spark was kindled from the embers of the previous year's fire, a poignant act symbolizing continuity and the cyclical nature of existence. As the flames began to dance, families gathered close, their faces illuminated by the flickering light, their hearts warmed not only by the fire but by the profound meaning it carried. Each crackle of the Yule log's flames was said to whisper a blessing, a promise that the sun would return to vanquish the dark. Sparks that flew upward were thought to carry prayers to the heavens, while the glowing embers below held the wishes of those gathered around. The longer the log burned, the greater the fortune for the year ahead, and so it was tended with care, a guardian of hope in the heart of winter. For the people of the north, the Yule log was more than tradition. It was a reminder of resilience. Just as the fire transformed the log into light and warmth, so too could their hardships be transformed into strength and renewal. The flames were a defiance of the cold, a luminous thread connecting them to their ancestors and to the eternal turning of the seasons. When the log finally burned to ashes, these too were gathered with care. They were scattered across fields to bless the soil, ensuring a fruitful harvest in the coming year, or kept as protective charms against misfortune. In this way, the Yule log lived on, its spirit woven into the very fabric of the earth and sky. As the night wore on and the flames dwindled, the people felt a quiet certainty settle over them. The light had held its ground against the dark, just as it always had, and just as it always would. Amid the frost-kissed landscapes of the north, where the world lay cloaked in snow and silence, one sight remained steadfast: the evergreens. Towering pines, sturdy spruces, and delicate holly bushes stood as living proof that life endured, even in the heart of winter. It is no wonder, then, that these trees became central to Yule celebrations, revered as symbols of resilience, vitality, and the promise of renewal. The evergreen was not merely admired for its beauty but honored for its spiritual meaning. Its unchanging green, defying the stark bareness of winter, was a testament to the endurance of life. To the people of the north, it whispered of hope, that even in the coldest and darkest of times, growth and vitality persisted. During Yule, These trees were brought into homes and adorned with care. Each decoration was imbued with meaning, transforming the humble evergreen into a sacred centerpiece of celebration. Strings of berries and dried fruits symbolized the abundance yet to come, while carved wooden talismans invoked blessings of protection and prosperity. In some traditions, candles or lanterns were hung from the branches, their soft glow mirroring the light of the sun's return. The act of decorating the evergreen was a deeply communal ritual. Families would gather to craft ornaments from natural materials, their laughter and storytelling filling the air. The tree became a canvas of shared hopes and memories, each adornment a wish for the year ahead. For children, hanging a bright ribbon or a shining trinket was an act of magic, their small hands participating in the ancient tradition of calling forth light and joy. At the top of the tree, a special ornament often held a place of honor. Some adorned their evergreens with a star, symbolizing the celestial guidance of the heavens. Others placed a sun-shaped figure, paying homage to the returning light that would soon grace their days. In some households, the tree was crowned with a figure of a god or goddess, a reminder of the divine presence that watched over the land. As the decorated trees stood proudly in homes and halls, they seemed to glow with a life of their own. They became a beacon of warmth in the cold, their adorned branches reaching out like arms welcoming the return of the sun. In their steadfast green, they taught a lesson that transcended the seasons: the strength to endure, the courage to hope, and the beauty of thriving even in the harshest of winters. And so, the evergreen trees, bedecked with light and life, stood as a bridge between the past and the future, the earthly and the divine. As long as their branches bore the weight of hope, the people knew they could face whatever the dark winter might bring. As the longest night fell over the snowbound villages, the warmth of shared company became a beacon against the encroaching cold. Feasting and gathering were not merely acts of survival during Yule, they were expressions of joy, unity, and gratitude for the light that would return. The halls came alive with laughter, music, and the tantalizing sense of a feast prepared to honor the turning of the year. The tables, hewn from sturdy wood and often polished by years of similar celebrations, groaned under the weight of abundance. Roasted meats, hearty stews, and freshly baked breads were placed alongside preserved fruits, nuts, and honeyed treats. Each dish told a story of preparation, from the diligent hunters and gatherers to the skilled hands that cooked with care. The feast was a tribute to both the earth's gifts and the labor of the community. At the heart of these gatherings stood the communal hearth, its fire casting flickering light across the faces of friends and family. It was here, around the flames, that stories were told. The elders would recount the myths of old, tales of gods and heroes who faced trials as daunting as the winter itself. Children, wide-eyed and spellbound, would listen as if hearing these legends for the first time. Songs filled the air, their melodies rising and falling like the winds outside. Some were solemn hymns, offered as prayers to the sun for its safe return. Others were lively and playful, celebrating the bonds of family and the hope for a bountiful year ahead. Instruments crafted from wood and string accompanied the singers, their notes echoing in the rafters of the great halls. The act of gathering was also a sacred one, a testament to the strength found in togetherness. It was during these long nights that people mended not only their tools and clothing but also their relationships. Feuds were set aside, misunderstandings forgiven, and promises made for the coming year. Yule was a time to rekindle bonds, to remember that survival was not a solitary endeavor but a collective triumph. And then there were the toasts, cups raised high in honor of the gods, the ancestors, and the earth. Mead, ale, or warm spice cider was passed around, each sip a token of gratitude and hope. In the flickering light of the hearth, these toasts seemed to hold a magic of their own, binding the celebrants to one another and to the cycles of life they honored. The Yule feast was more than a meal. It was a promise. A promise that no matter how deep the night, the dawn would come. That together, the people could endure the harshest winter, fueled by the warmth of shared stories, shared laughter, and shared hope. As the night deepened, the revelry continued, an affirmation of life in the face of darkness. And when the first hints of dawn finally graced the horizon, it was greeted not with weariness but with cheers. A new day had begun, a new chapter in the eternal story of light and life. On the longest nights of Yule, when the moon hung low and the wind howled through the trees, the people of the north spoke in hushed tones of the wild hunt. This spectral cavalcade, led by none other than Odin himself, tore through the winter skies, its ghostly riders chasing shadows across the heavens. The wild hunt was not a mere tale to entertain. It was an omen, a warning of the thin veil between the mortal world and the unseen realms. The pounding hooves of spectral horses and the baying of ghostly hounds struck fear into the hearts of those who dared to wander out into the night. The hunters were said to be spirits of the restless dead, warriors lost in battle, or those who had been claimed by Odin to ride forever in his otherworldly host. Odin, the All-Father, was at the hunt's helm. With his one piercing eye, he surveyed the land below, his great spear Gungnir in hand. He was both a guide and a harbinger, leading his spectral followers in their eternal pursuit. Some believed the wild hunt chased after the souls of the wicked, while others thought they hunted for the light of the sun, lost to the darkest night of the year. For the people who lived in the shadow of this legend, the wild hunt was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. To see the hunt, it was said, was to invite misfortune, for its riders would not hesitate to claim a soul for their endless journey. Yet, there was a duality to this fearsome event, for Odin's hunt also served as a reminder of the cyclical nature of life and death. To protect themselves during Yule, the people would light fires and keep their hearths blazing, believing that the warmth and light would ward off the ghostly riders. Offerings of food and drink were left outside their homes, sometimes as a plea for protection, sometimes as a gesture of respect. In some regions, children would leave hay or carrots for Sleipnir, Odin's eight-legged steed, in hopes of earning the god's favor. The wild hunt was also a symbol of transformation. Just as Odin himself was a god of both wisdom and war, of creation and destruction, the hunt mirrored the balance of forces in the world. It was a time to reflect on one's own life, to face the shadows within and without, and to prepare for the renewal that would come with the return of the sun. As the ghostly horde thundered across the winter sky, the people below would gather closer, their shared warmth and light a defiance of the cold and the unknown. They knew that the hunt would not last forever. With the first rays of dawn, the riders would vanish, retreating into the realms beyond until the next Yule. And so, the wild hunt became a powerful part of Yule's mythology, a tale of shadow and light, fear and hope, death and rebirth. It was a reminder that even in the face of the darkest night and the wildest storm, the promise of a new dawn would always remain. As the ghostly echoes of the wild hunt roared across the skies, the people of the north faced its ominous presence not with resignation but with a mixture of awe, reverence, and resourcefulness. They believed that while the hunt could bring misfortune, it also carried the seeds of renewal, and those who knew how to navigate its mysteries could find protection, even blessings, within its shadow. The first and most vital defense against the hunt was the sacred fire. Hearths were kept blazing through the Yule night, their warmth and light thought to repel the spectral riders. The crackling flames were not merely practical but symbolic, a defiant reminder that light could hold the darkness at bay. In many homes, families gathered around the fire, singing songs or telling stories, their voices a chorus of resilience against the night. Outside, bonfires were lit to guide wayward spirits safely back to the otherworld. These flames served as both beacons of protection and offerings of respect to the Wild Hunt's riders. To let the fire die down during Yule was considered a grave mistake, inviting not just the chill of winter but the hunt itself. Along with fire, offerings played a significant role in humanity's response to the Wild Hunt. Food and drink, sometimes a loaf of bread, a bowl of mead, or even fresh game, were left outside homes as a gesture of goodwill to Odin and his spectral host. These offerings carried dual meanings. They were tokens of respect for the hunt's power and pleas for mercy, asking the riders to spare the household from misfortune. Children, wide-eyed with both fear and excitement, would often leave small bundles of hay or vegetables for Sleipnir, Odin's eight-legged steed. In return, it was said, Odin might leave a token of favor, perhaps a small charm or an omen of good fortune for the coming year. These gestures reminded the people of their connection to the divine and their dependence on the cycles of nature. Yule was not only a time of outward action but also one of inner contemplation. The Wild Hunt's passage was a reminder of life's fragility and the thin veil between the living and the dead. Families would sit quietly, reflecting on the year that had passed and the challenges yet to come. It was a time to honor ancestors, whose spirits were believed to walk more freely among the living during these sacred nights. In some traditions, windows were left open a crack, or doors left unlatched, as a sign of hospitality for wandering spirits. While the Wild Hunt was feared, the dead themselves were welcomed, especially those who had once been loved and lost. The people understood that death, like winter, was part of the great cycle, and honoring it was a way to affirm life. Above all, the people faced the Wild Hunt with a sense of unity. No one endured Yule alone, for the hunt's shadow was a force that bound communities together. Families and neighbors gathered to share food, warmth, and stories, strengthening their bonds and offering one another comfort against the cold. Even as the hunt stormed through the skies, below it was a world of shared light, laughter, and resilience. For the people of the north, the Wild Hunt was not simply a force to be feared but a story to be lived. It reminded them that while darkness might threaten, it also served as a crucible, forging courage, wisdom, and hope. Through their fires, offerings, and togetherness, they wove themselves into the eternal fabric of light and shadow, celebrating the promise that no matter how wild the storm, the sun would always rise again. As centuries passed and cultures intertwined, the ancient traditions of Yule began to weave their way into the celebrations we now know as Christmas and New Year. The echoes of Yule, the firelit nights, the evergreen boughs, the spirit of community, persisted, evolving into customs that still carry the essence of those ancient solstice celebrations. In modern times, the Yule log has shifted from a blazing hearth centerpiece to a symbolic gesture. Today, it often takes the form of a decorative dessert, a rich, rolled cake resembling a log adorned with powdered sugar to mimic snow. Yet its symbolism remains intact. It represents warmth, renewal, and the continuity of life. The act of sharing a Yule log cake with family and friends is a quiet homage to the firelit gatherings of old. The evergreen tree, once adorned with berries, ribbons, and candles during Yule, transformed into the modern Christmas tree. Its decorations evolved to include glass ornaments, electric lights, and tinsel, but the essence is unchanged. It remains a symbol of vitality and hope in the heart of winter. The star or angel that crowns many Christmas trees today carries the same meaning as the Yule tree's sun-shaped ornaments, a beacon of light and guidance in dark times. Yule's spirit of generosity found its way into Christmas traditions through the act of gift-giving. In ancient times, offerings were made to gods, spirits, and neighbors as tokens of goodwill and protection. Today, the exchange of gifts carries forward this idea, fostering bonds of love and gratitude. The practice of sharing meals and inviting friends and family to festive gatherings also mirrors Yule's emphasis on community and togetherness. The songs sung around Yule fires, both solemn and joyous, evolved into caroling traditions. Modern Christmas carols, with their themes of peace, hope, and celebration, echo the melodies that once lifted spirits during the longest nights of the year. Music, then as now, served as a bridge, a way to connect people, summon courage, and celebrate life. Even the myth of Santa Claus carries whispers of Yule traditions. Odin's role as the leader of the wild hunt, traveling the skies on his eight-legged steed Sleipnir, parallels the image of Santa with his sleigh and reindeer. In some versions of the Yule legend, Odin left gifts for those who honored him, a precursor to the stockings filled with treasures that delight children today. Yule also influenced New Year celebrations, particularly the idea of renewal. The solstice marked the return of the sun and the start of a new cycle, much like the modern New Year symbolizes a fresh beginning. The customs of reflection, resolution-making, and celebrating with light and noise, fireworks replacing the crackling Yule logs, can all be traced back to the spirit of Yule. Although Yule's original form has been reshaped by time and culture, its essence endures. It lives in every twinkling light strung on a tree, every shared meal that warms a winter evening, and every moment of gratitude for the light that follows the dark. In celebrating Christmas and New Year, we continue to honor the ancient wisdom of Yule, that life is a cycle, that light always returns, and that together we are stronger against the coldest of nights. Though centuries have passed since the first Yule fires burned bright in the hearths of the north, the spirit of this ancient celebration continues to captivate hearts. In recent years, Yule has experienced a renaissance, celebrated not only as a historical tradition but also as a meaningful way to reconnect with nature, community, and the cycles of life. At its core, Yule is a celebration of balance and renewal. The longest night, though daunting, carries the promise of returning light. This timeless message resonates deeply in modern times, reminding us that challenges, like winter, are temporary, and that hope can always be rekindled. Yule also teaches a profound respect for nature's rhythms. The evergreen trees, the Yule log, and even the snow-covered landscapes all symbolize the endurance and beauty of life, even in its quietest and stillest moments. For those seeking a deeper connection to the natural world, Yule offers a path to honor the earth's wisdom and cycles. While the spectral fear of Odin's wild hunt has faded with time, its symbolic significance has been reimagined. In modern Yule observances, the hunt is often viewed as a reminder to face one's shadows, to confront fears and challenges as part of personal growth. Rituals of release, such as burning old regrets or writing down wishes for the future, reflect this transformative energy. In a world often disconnected from the rhythms of nature, Yule offers a way to pause and reflect. Celebrants might mark the solstice with a mindful walk in the woods, crafting seasonal decorations from natural materials, or participating in community feasts that echo the old Mead Hall gatherings. Many also use Yule as an opportunity to give back, echoing the ancient custom of offering blessings. Acts of kindness, whether through charity, environmental stewardship, or simple gestures of goodwill, carry forward the generous spirit of Yule. And so, dear listener, the tale of Yule comes to an end, yet its light lingers, shimmering softly in the corners of our hearts. Once upon a time, when the longest night held the world in its icy grip, the people lit their fires and whispered prayers to the returning sun. It was not merely an act of survival, but a timeless song of hope, resilience, and renewal. Now, close your eyes and imagine the snow-blanketed forests glistening under the watchful gaze of a starry sky. In a distant village, the Yule fire still burns, its flames dancing defiantly against the night. Around it, people have gathered, their faces aglow, their laughter rising like the smoke into the heavens. Each of them carries a wish, a quiet hope for the days to come, a seed of light waiting to bloom. This is Yule, the magic of kindling a spark when all seems lost, of seeing an ending not as a farewell but as the prelude to a beginning. Just as the ashes of the Yule log enrich the soil for spring, so too does the spirit of Yule nurture us, reminding us that every dark night births a radiant dawn. But Yule is not only a tale of gods and wild hunts, it is also a story of the light within us all. As Odin's spectral host thundered across the skies, mortals below tended their fires and sang songs to the stars. His hunt might have embodied the shadows, but their fires, lit with care, shared with love, always triumphed over the dark. Even now, Yule's magic endures. You'll find it in the twinkling lights of a tree, in the flicker of a candle, or in the warmth of a shared laugh on a cold night. When the longest night ends and the first light of dawn touches the horizon, Yule whispers its eternal promise: the light will always return. So, dear traveler, may the wisdom of Yule guide you, its warmth embrace you, and its light inspire you as you journey through the seasons of your own life. Until we meet again in another story, may you walk with the stars above and the flame of hope within. Remember, even the deepest darkness carries the seed of its own dawn.